heels had just come into use, and you rarely heard the foreman sneak up behind you, watching.
It wouldn't let you stop. Not for a drink, the bathroom, nothing. Sometimes, in my haste, I get my finger caught and the needle goes right through. I bind the finger up with a piece of cotton and go on working.
Operators were charged for any mistakes that they made. For a lot of these young women whose families depended on their earnings, it was very, very stressful. If they messed up a garment and their pay was docked, they would be left, coming home to tell mom, who always got the paycheck, families to be on this.
Even after the machines powered down for the day, the Triangle workers were subject to one final management imperative. No one left the building before opening her bag to the foreman's inspection at the Green Street exit. Max Blank was kept awake nights, calculating the dollars he might lose if workers walked out with shirtwaists tucked in their bags, or fabric, a thread. To ensure that nobody slipped out uninspected, Blank ordered that the only other exit at Washington Place be kept locked.
Bosses are under such intense competitive pressure that they're prepared to ignore, under most circumstances, the grievances of their workers, to treat them like stucco, like animals, like pieces. And they don't fear anything. There's no government intervention. There's no labor legislation. There's really very little sanitary legislation protecting the health and safety of workers. There are no minimum wage laws or maximum hour laws. Nobody's watching.
There was release at the end of a day's monotonous toil, as the women stepped out into the long light of summer.
The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory was in the middle of New York. If you walked half block, you were in Washington Square, Lower Fifth Avenue, the Great Greek Revival, homes of the affluent. If you walked to the other side, you were in Broadway, where Wanamaker Store was, where within a few blocks, what was called Ladies' Mile was, with all of the wonderful shops.
This is the Gilded Age. It's an age of extravagant, conspicuous consumption.
They can walk up Fifth Avenue and see limestone mansions as far as the eye can see. They can see all around them, but there's all kinds of wealth.
They were so beautiful, those hats. They were so rich. The woman looked so dressed, in the back of the bustle. I wanted to grow up to wear earrings and hats and high heels. I liked music. I liked lectures. I wanted to learn things. I wanted to learn everything. The only thing is, the time. I needed time. I used to creep up on the roof of the tenement and talk out my heart to the stars and the sky. Why were we crammed into the crowded darkness? Why are we wasting with want? Where is America?
On the morning of October 4th, 1909, Harris and Blank arrived at the Triangle to find their worst fear realized. Their own workers on strike. They saw this union movement as a personal attack on them, an attack on private property, an attack on the liberty at the heart of America's promise and possibility. years earlier, Isaac Harris and Max Blank had themselves arrived in America. Two young tailors from the shtetls of Eastern Europe, poor but ambitious. As far as they were concerned, they'd built the Triangle Waste Company with their own sweat and ingenuity. They'd risked every hard-won dollar on their dream, and the gamble had earned them each 10-room brownstones uptown, with maids, butlers, governesses.
This was the story that was being told all across Europe about what was possible in America. They'd made it. It was the American dream, the symbol of what it was all about.
They saw their wealth, their power as perfectly legitimate reward for their exercise of individual freedom. And that was the best thing for American society. That was the best thing for the economy.
The evidence abounded in New York. Private wealth was building the city's skyscrapers, its parks, museums, libraries, and hospitals. And the men who made it happen were celebrated.
These industrial buccaneers are lionized. There is this commitment in American culture to an extreme kind of individualism, that individuals, especially the owners of private property, should not be interfered with. That to interfere with them is to place inhibiting obstacles in their path that will restrain prosperity and industrial growth.
I think a lot of industrialists saw themselves as fairly benevolent, as providing jobs, as providing the means of survival to hundreds and sometimes thousands of workers. And if workers complained about their wages, complained about their hours, or the conditions under which they worked, they were biting the hand that fed them.
Progressive reformers have been shining a light on the growing inequalities in America for 20 years. The crushing poverty, cramped living spaces, and inhumane working conditions. But their calls for government to rebalance the relationship between employers and their employees went largely unheeded. What elected official wanted to put the brakes on the country's remarkable economic engine? Picketers at the Triangle knew that if they wanted their bosses to treat them fairly, they'd have to force the change themselves.
Winning a union in the shop means establishing a contractual relationship with the boss that covers all the workers in that shop with respect to not only the wages they work for, the hours that they work, the conditions under which they work, and their bosses no longer be allowed to get away with what they've been getting away with.
Max Blank and Isaac Harris weren't going to let a bunch of disgruntled factory girls tell them how to run their company. The Triangle owners used private detective agencies to provide replacement workers and muscle. Bought prostitutes to start fights with the women on the picket lines. And paid off the local police precinct. Their hired thugs beat Triangle strikers, and policemen hauled the picketers into court if they fought back. But every day for 6 weeks, in the face of physical abuse and public indifference, the women took up their places in front of the ash building. The longer the women of the Triangle stood fast, the more workers at other shirtwaist factories paid attention. Week after week, the feeling grew. Something could be done at their own shop.
I used to go in the ladies' room, and if you used to follow me,